Welcome to the What's Our Verdict podcast, where we fashion ourselves cinematic judge and jury. My name is JJ Crowder. I'm here with my co-hosts, Matt and Heiner,
Better read than dead.
and Ian Anderson.
Some shit.
Do you ever find yourself wondering if you should spend the time, money, or both on a movie? Well, we're here to answer that question for you. Each week we put a movie on trial, discuss the facts, pass judgment, and let you know our verdict. To check out our other episodes, if you're watching on YouTube, the link's down in the description below. And this is our spoiler-free review. Our deep dive will be available on Monday, March 8th, and you can listen to that wherever fine podcasts are found. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Ghana, just to name a few. And as always, it's completely free. Today we're reviewing Raya and the Last Dragon. It was released March 5th, 2021. It was written by Key Nguyen and Adele Lim. It was directed by Don Hall, Carlos Lopez Estrada. It stars Kelly Marie Tran, Awkwafina, Isaac Wang, Gemma Chan, Benedict Wong, and Daniel Day Kim. In a realm known as Kumandra, a reimagined Earth inhabited by an ancient civilization, a warrior named Raya is determined to find the last dragon. If this is your first time joining us, we will rate this movie on a tiered scale. I don't know why I can't say the word tiered at all, ever, when we're doing this, guys. We will rate this movie on a 3-tiered scale. Worth it, meaning you should find a way to watch this movie, stream it, wait until you can watch it for free, and finally skip it, meaning you shouldn't watch it at all. So yeah, let's talk Raya and the Last Dragon. I'll go first when it comes to spoiler free, guys. That I enjoyed this movie and I can't wait to deep dive it because there's a few things I want to get off my chest that I'm not going to do in the spoiler free right out of the gate, and then we can talk about the actual movie. I will say I enjoy the message of this movie. I feel like it's a little heavy-handed at times. And then I feel like the movie's a little too goofy for its own good in some situations. But overall, it was a fun movie. It was enjoyable. It's cute. It's got some really fun moments. It's got a great message if you listen to it. And then just don't read news articles about it. That's all I'll say before my little deep dive spiel at the beginning.
I'm about to learn some stuff then because I have no idea what you're going to talk about.
Well, I went down the rabbit hole getting prepared for reviewing it, right? So I always look up some fun facts and try to see what's going on and learn about who was in it and who wrote it and who directed it, things like that. And the rabbit hole was ridiculous in this movie. Wow. So for some different ways. And so I
got a real review in a week.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm excited to discuss that and then discuss what I did like about this movie, because there was a lot of things that I did like. There were a few things that I wasn't a huge fan of, but mostly had to do with just too much from them. But overall, I actually enjoyed it. I wouldn't pay $30 for it. Again, it's one of those things where I'm definitely a stream it, but $30 is a little much. Like if you're in a position where you have family and you can all come together safely for COVID still, now that everything's starting to come back together, but if you can do it safely and you can all chip in and sit down in your house and watch it, great. If you're paying $4 to $5, even $7, I think if you can go to a theater safely, I would go to a theater. I'd pay the $7 or $8 to $10 to see it, but I wouldn't pay $30 to sit down by myself or with Casey and watch this, just the two of us. Like it's not that good, but I think it's good enough to see if you can do it safely and spend $5 to $10 on it. So I'm going to say stream it because there's some caveats there for everything that's going on with the pandemic. But outside of that, if you got to pay the full $30 to watch it for yourself, I wouldn't do that. Ian, what about you?
I'm in the same boat with you, but I'll be honest, I don't think there's movies good enough that I would ever spend $30 to watch them. I'm kind of a cheapie
by yourself
that
at
way.
least, for sure.
Yeah, by myself. Yeah. I really enjoyed this movie. It sounds like I enjoyed it because I don't know a lot about the backstory and what's going on behind it from what JJ's saying. But I really liked the message, and I felt like it was not only was the message applicable, but I felt like it was positive. Whereas a lot of movies I've seen lately, they have a good message, but it's also still kind of like, yeah, but it's kind of this group's fault, or yeah, but it's not going to be as good as you think it is. So I also really liked the world they kind of built out. It was super interesting. Just the different monsters and dragons and I don't know, like the big cats they were riding around. I thought that was kind of funny.
You would say
Um,
that right now, Ian. I feel like that's very appropriate where we know your head is at with Dungeons and Dragons.
just more ideas, right?
Yeah.
More ideas. But overall, I put the same kind of disclaimer on it that yeah, it's worth it, but it's not $30 worth it. So if you can find a theater or have some other people chip in, like JJ said, definitely worth it. But yeah, otherwise, wait till it drops the price and watch it on Disney Plus for free.
Mm-hmm. Matson.
Yeah, so I had probably a bit of a more unique experience. I watched this with my 3 nieces and nephew last night. So, from a child's perspective, they were enthralled. I think for me, trying to put myself in their shoes, this movie is very vibrant and colorful, and playful to an extent that, as a kid, I know they love like the adult baby and the little like butt looking monkeys or whatever. They love that. I mean, that just what I loved about this movie as well is the really cute animals, especially the giant like roly poly, or that's kind of what it reminded me of. There was oohs and ahs for my nieces and nephews, so you know that they were captivated in that regard. My littlest um, niece Jane thought that Raya was a Disney princess, so you know that they like did a good job there if you can get a girl to ask that question. But I know my older nieces really enjoyed kind of the independent, strong-willed nature of Raya and kind of the message that it had there, because it's not often we see a female lead in a Disney movie in like a fighting role. And I did enjoy some of the action in this movie, especially that really cool blade. Having going to jump into D&D here shortly with this group, I'm hoping that I can get a blade like that from our dungeon master. So put that in the thoughts, Ian.
Noted.
But no, I think they overall they were really captivated. I think it's something they would watch again because there was enough laughs for them. Where as an adult, like JJ said, this movie's a little quirky and maybe tries too hard. But as a kid, I think it worked for them. They laughed, they enjoyed it. I think the message overall. I talked to my older nieces. They kind of got what the message was about coming together, about trusting, kind of about believing in others. So I think it hit home there. But as an adult, for me, if I'm watching this and giving it a rating from that regard, this is definitely a stream it movie. Where for me, like it's a steep price to pay that much. But again, if you got a family and you have these children there, I think it's a wholesome activity because going to a movie theater with 4 kids, you're going to pay more money to just go to the theater than to buy this movie. So that's something to consider. If you're a listener and you have kids and they like animated movies, it's probably worth it in that regard. But if you're someone that's just in a relationship or you're just single by yourself or whatever, I wouldn't pay the money to see this. So that's kind of my differentiating caveat. If you got kids, I mean, it's a pretty good animated movie. It falls along those lines, but where it fell short for me, I just didn't feel endeared to the characters as I would as much on like especially like a Toy Story, where I love the character progression through that movie. For me, that's where this movie fell short. Where it was great was the vibrancy, some of the jokes, the world building, and I think the other thing I would say is the music didn't really stand out for me either. Usually, movies like this, you get endeared to music that drives the story. So, in short, stream it if you're older and you're not watching with nieces and nephews or kids, whatever it is. But if you do have that, I'd say worth it. Go buy it, go watch it with your family, have a good time.
Cool. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think like that's a good point. If you got kids in the house, and the going to a movie theater is gonna start to get a little more pricey as you get more people, then it's certainly worth it to do that at home. So that's a good caveat. I like that.
Save money on popcorn. Just put it in the microwave.
Exactly. Yeah. So there you go. Sounds like overall definitely a stream it with the caveat of if you have the multiple people that you can do safely, by all means, it's worth it at that point. Cool. So Raya and the Last Dragon, go check it out. Join us again for our deep dive that you can listen to starting on Monday, the 5th or the 8th. Sorry. So yeah, enjoy that. Matt, so why don't you tell everybody where they can find us?
Yeah, you can find us at whatsourverdict.com. Come check out what we've already reviewed. Check out what we're going to review. Come subscribe as well, because we always have some good omissions from each of our different podcasts. Some of them are pretty spicy. Definitely encourage you to do that. Check us out on social media as well, predominantly Facebook and Instagram. Can come interact with us there. And then on our YouTube channel, come check out these spoiler-free reviews as well.
Definitely. And if you want to send us feedback or anything else, you can hit us up an email at hosts@whatsourverdict.com. So we appreciate it. And we'll catch you on the next one.
Bye.
Whoa!